Hi everyone, my name is Rick and I welcome you back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a little garden walk and then I picked out some Hoyas that are blooming. There's a couple that have seed pods and I actually have one of my crosses that I want to share with you guys. So please stick around and I hope you enjoy this video. And if you're new to my channel, I basically do a video vlog every week. Every Sunday I post where I do a garden walk and I talk about my Hoyas and orchids and philodendron. So please consider subscribing and I hope you enjoy this video. I've been really lucky this spring because every week it seems like we're getting a really nice, one day a week we'll get a nice downpour and I don't have to water these plants, which is fantastic for me because this could be a challenge when it's really dry and I have to water everything. It could take me a couple hours every other day in the middle of summer if it doesn't rain. But luckily it does rain quite often, so that's good. So let me just walk through the garden and then I'm going to point out a few Hoyas. And then towards the end of the video, there's some blooms I want to show you and a couple of seed pods. So let's start here. We got some umbels again on this AH74. And she is pretty spectacular foliage-wise, and she's I guess pretty easy to bloom. This is in a 4-inch pot in there and it's putting out this like 6-foot vine and it's growing some nice umbels on there. And here is a Hoya desvoeuxensis. And I have a seedling from a cross I did a few years ago that is now getting ready to bloom, and I will point that out to you later. And let's see over here. We got, this is the Hoya, if you watched my last videos, this EPC 620 has some really cool foliage. They're pretty thick, almost like a pachyclata, and this flower is on its way out, but it's usually very white at the beginning and it turns yellow a little bit. But yeah, the ants are enjoying the last days. This flower is probably going to be gone tomorrow, but sometimes the flower looks prettiest at the last couple of days when it's not reverted. So over here, like the excavata is really enjoying this spot right here. It's putting out some really nice big leaves. And speaking of big leaves, there's a fungi back here that has some really big leaves, and I want to show you guys that. So here's a Hoya fungi that has some really, really huge leaves. Like this is like the size of my hand. There's a big leaf there. Normally they get leaves about that size. But when they're really happy, they'll put out that. And I also have a newer leaf over here that's, you know, this time of year when it gets warm and the weather conditions are just right with the humidity and heat, they put out these humongous, really gorgeous leaves on Hoya fungi, which is one of the easiest more rewarding Hoyas to grow. And I found out what this guy was. I actually contacted Nada from Hoyas because I had lost the tag, and you guys are like, surprised, Rick loses a tag, right? Yeah, so I did lose a tag on this, and it turns out to be AH247, and it's gonna bloom for me. There's a bloom spike over there. I'll show you. But I told Nata and she says this one is very rare. She has very few or doesn't have much to sell in her catalog. So I'm kind of happy I have it. And it's a really fast grower. You can see the leaves get big, they get dark margins, and the peduncle formed a few weeks ago. It doesn't look too promising, but it might it might do something later on in the season. And I have another this one is AH073. These leaves are quite gorgeous, as you can see, especially on this set of leaves. And this guy is intriguing me because it has like these peduncles, one on each side, like a typical latifolia type Hoya. So I'll be really curious to see what happens with these flowers. So I don't know about if this is really a hybrid or an actual species. So I guess we'll find out when it blooms. We'll have more details. So yeah, like the rain was really nice. We had another day of rain. Saturday was rainy most of the day, and everything got wet, which is really super nice. Especially this guy really enjoys it. This is a Philodendron varicosum, and so it's very delicate and likes high humidity and constant moisture. So and it's really fuzzy stems, and the back is red. So what not to love about that guy? So back here of interest, we have, oh, Swiffer's out here. Swiffer came out because it was a little bit wet this morning, and all these cushions were inside the garage, so we just brought them out, and she came out to take a little afternoon nap. And yeah, let me show you back here. What's interesting is all these Phalaenopsis orchids that are mounted on my palms are all blooming at the same time. This is usually the time of year that the Phalaenopsis bloom heavily here in Florida. So they look really pretty against the bamboo. And the mango tree has been putting out a lot of flowers, so hopefully we'll get a lot of mangoes this year. And what I wanted to show you, see if I can get it in focus, is these two SEEDPODs. It's kind of hard to focus. On this Hoya cagaensis crossed with mendorensis. And this is a self-cross. I did not like how the flowers looked on this cross originally. So having mendorensis in its parentage, I'm trying to do a self-cross. Maybe I can bring out characteristics of mendorensis on this Hoya. And as you can see, it's growing way up in the mango tree. And I had to get on a ladder to pollinate this thing, and it was kind of scary as I almost fell. On this starfruit tree, I have a Hoya Germany. She's over there, crawling up into the orchid space. And as you can see, this is Hoya Germany, Hoya species Germany, and it's about to bloom again. The foliage is quite stunning. You know, you can see it, and they get quite big. I wish I could show you some of the size of the leaves that are up there, but if you go back to one of my earlier videos, I think I have one where I have it at my dining room table and I show it off. So these leaves can get like 3 or 4 times bigger than that. And this is an interesting dendrobium. I forget the name right now, but it's gonna bloom pretty soon. Very excited about that. This is the 3rd time I've been able to bloom that, which is pretty interesting because at the end of the blooming cycle, it looks like it's gonna die. So I thought I had lost it, but it started putting out new canes, and those new canes from last year are the ones that are blooming this year. So that's pretty cool. And earlier I pointed out that desvoeuxensis that I did a cross with. And here's the offspring. This is Sariga crossed with RHM1. And the flowers should be coming pretty soon. Here are the umbels. And she's sharing space here with Hoya mendorensis, Hoya breviolata, and these phals that are looking really fancy. I wish they stayed here all year, but they do last a couple months in bloom like that, so I guess I can't complain. And by the Buddha, I have some really gorgeous phals here. And this is a Madnilla. It usually blooms in late May, June. So yeah, there's phals blooming everywhere, which is nice. So let me show you a couple orchids up here. I actually lost the tag on this guy, and he's really super gorgeous. It's some Cattleya hybrid. And I picked up I bought some plants this week, and I'll show you some of the stuff I got. But this is a Jose Bueno that I picked up. I'll show you how incredible he is. He's a big size, but these are only small compared to my big Jose Bueno over here that's growing behind these chairs here. And this is a newer leaf that's over a foot long, and this is another leaf that's looking really, really nice. Over here we have Patriciae, which I think it's coming back from not looking so pretty during the winter. And we have a Cattleya intermediate type orchid there, and the gold digger is still blooming. It's been in bloom for, I would say, about 5 weeks. So yeah, let me just pull out the Hoyas and show you what I have for you this week. And over here, this is Hoya Michel. As you can see, this one has really splashy leaves. I did not grow this specimen. I picked it up. I bought it this week. And I have grown really splashy Michels in the past, but this one is quite exquisite, and I wanted to show it with you guys. It's quite beautiful. And it was named for Michel Rhoda, and he's a gentleman at the Singapore Botanical Gardens, and he publishes a lot of Hoyas. So it's not Michelle as in a spelled like a lady's name. It's Michelle with just one L, and that's a common mistake I see when people post this Hoya online. So yeah, if you don't have a Hoya Michel, the flowers are pretty interesting, and the leaves are quite gorgeous, and they can get twice as big as this, and it does have a propensity to get really splashy like this. So Hoya Michel. And this is Hoya beckoensis. I acquired it from Thailand as Hoya species Baku. And I find out that it was published as Hoya bacuensis by Dr. Rhoda. And it's a very interesting Hoya. I have never flowered it, but from the flowers I've seen online, they're quite cute. And as I suspected, they would be orange because they somewhat remind me in texture and size, except shape, of Hoya and growth pattern of Hoya endaensis. And I don't know if they're related in any shape or form, but I always suspected it was going to be orange flowers. So yeah, Hoya bacuensis is quite cute. It's a pretty easy grower. I think it likes to dry out in between waterings. I tried growing it in Weka, and it didn't like that. It's in a very loose mix, and it seems to be doing pretty well. So Hoya bacuensis. And this is the only non-Hoya today I'm going to be talking about. This is a begonia dancing Vera. I bought it on eBay maybe 2 years ago, and look at the leaf size. I think that's how big they get. And it's bloomed for me. It's going to bloom again. It makes quite a beautiful potted plant. It's begonia dancing Vera, and if you're into begonias, this is definitely one that's pretty easy to grow, and I think it's so cute. It really makes a beautiful hanging basket. I can't wait for it to grow out more. Yes, so it's begonia dancing Vera, and here we have the beautiful Hoya boischernaziae subspecies Sierrae. And it's such a faithful bloomer. It blooms like non-stop in the warmer months here from March until November. And this one I got from Ted Green's collection. It's more like a salmon color. I have one that's more pink and one that's more red than this. So there's quite a few varieties of color in this Hoya species. It's really quite beautiful. And the flowers are very delicate, so you would think it would be, you know, a difficult Hoya to get to keep happy, but it's actually not. It grows pretty fast, and it doesn't really require a lot of special care here in Florida. And it gets a lot of heat, humidity. For indoor growers, I would think that if you can provide a little warmer, more humid conditions, it would probably like that. But other than that, I don't think it would be a fussy indoor growing Hoya, especially if you grow it in Weka or in palm. So if you don't have this Hoya and you like cute little cup-shaped flowers, they're quite beautiful. You might want to consider growing Hoya boischernaziae subspecies Sierrae. And this is one of my crosses. It's Hoya Peach Bellini. It's Illigorium crossed with Encruzada Moonshadow. And my attempt here was to get a variegated Hoya, but it didn't work out. None of the seedlings were variegated. Although I have used a variegated Hoya before in crossing, and I did have about 10% of the seedlings that were variegated, but none of them survived. So I was pretty bummed about that. So it is possible to hybridize a variegated Hoya and have them hopefully grow out to be variegated plants. So yeah, I'm pretty proud of this Hoya. The flowers are really nice. The colors are orange, which are my favorite. So it's a pretty easy growing. If you grow Illigorium and Encruzada Moonshadow, they are usually not very picky. So they do like the heat and humidity that I provide him here in Florida in the summertime. That's when it grows the fastest. And I usually take this one into the greenhouse in December, January. I think last week I highlighted this Hoya. It's Hoya SS 20. 2001. It's one of Cerisa Somedays hybrids. It was in bud and it opened up a couple of days later. So I wanted to show you guys the flowers and how incredible looking they are. And they last a lot longer. Sometimes they remind me of Hoya calypsophylla, but calypsophylla only last a few days, but this one lasts a lot longer. Let me see it. It looks different in the sun. Move it around a little bit. Yeah, so this Hoya is exquisite. The leaves are super gorgeous. And the parents, I always forget, but I will put that in the comments. One of the names is really hard to pronounce, but the leaves are quite stunning, and the flower is just incredible. So this is Hoya SS 2001. Hoya Patricia. It's one of my favorites. Flower-wise, the corollas on this thing are pretty impressive. The plant is a cross of elliptica and darwinii. As you can see, that is a pretty full umbel for this Hoya, but I also have one with 2 flowers down here. I don't know what happened. I kind of had forgotten to water this Hoya for quite a bit of time. It's actually sitting, it's in a 2-inch pot inside this bigger 6-inch pot. So it was on the top tier of the greenhouse, so it's getting a lot of bright light, and it was growing mostly dry, so maybe that's what it made it bloom. So with this Hoya, you don't want to overwater it because it could easily succumb to root rot. So other than that, it's fast growing and it's rewarding when it blooms, when it's happy. So if you don't have this Hoya, I'm sure after seeing these flowers, you definitely would like to. So Hoya Patricia. And this is Hoya mapigera. I wanted to show you how peculiar this, it looks like it's gonna bloom, 1 flower, and there's like a leaf at the end of the peduncle, which I find quite unusual. I've not seen that much about this Hoya, but it doesn't seem like a very common thing in the Hoya world to see that leaf at the end where the flower is gonna come out. I received this from my friend in Michigan, and as a 1-node cutting in a surprise box, and it's grown this much since last fall. So it's a very, I'm thinking a very forgiving Hoya because I haven't done anything special, and it seems to be growing really well, and it's gonna, as you can see, it's gonna bloom soon. And some people call the flower shaped like a folded napkin. So it is an unusual flower on this Hoya mapigera. And that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful week ahead. And please consider coming back next Sunday to my channel. I will have more Hoyas and more garden tours and more stuff for you. So please consider subscribing, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.